It's been a long time coming, but we finally got our first official look at GTA 6 in December 2023, and the hype has been absolutely out of control. As we continue to wait for the game's 2025 release, I'm seeing more and more posts like this. Tons of people who either haven't played GTA Online at all, or haven't played it for years, are jumping into the game to kill some time between now and the GTA 6 launch. However, there's a problem that has existed since GTA Online first released way back in 2013. Players don't know what to do after creating their character and jumping into the world. With over 10 years worth of content updates, GTA Online as it exists here in March 2024 is an overwhelming experience for any beginner. There are tons of icons on the map, your phone is constantly bombarded by calls, texts, and emails, and why is everything so expensive? I remember first jumping into the game, trying out a mission that looked cool, and laughing out loud at how little cash I was rewarded compared to the cost of simple things like weapons and clothing, much less the more expensive stuff like vehicles and properties. Despite some improvements over the years, that struggle over finding enough cash to afford things in GTA Online still seems to exist for beginners getting into the game today. But with this video, I'm happy to say that I have good news. GTA Online has been solved. It's completely figured out, and if you follow this video, you should have no problem at all jumping into the game with absolutely nothing and quickly accumulating a ton of cash very quickly. All those expensive weapons, vehicles, and properties, affording them will not be a problem after today's video, and again, it's easy, it's fast, it's all repeatable, and it can all be done completely solo. No need to cooperate with friends, or worst of all, randoms who have no idea what they are doing. And no, you don't need to spend any real money on shark cards or a GTA Plus membership either. I've started a brand new character in GTA Online for this video to confirm that everything I've been doing in my main account can also be done by a brand new player starting from nothing, and I'm happy to say the answer is yes. With today's video, I'll guide you through the opening hours of GTA Online, then show you the daily routine I follow to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a day with ease. The ultimate goal for today's video is pretty simple. First, we'll get our initial businesses up and running so you could generate some cash. Next, I'll show you how to make $2.2 million quickly so you could buy a Kosatka Submarine. And finally, we'll end by saving up $6 million to buy your very own flying motorcycle, the Oppressor Mark II. Believe it or not, that should take you under a week of regular playtime if you follow my routine. Of course, the whole routine is simple and repeatable every day, so even after dropping $6 million on that Oppressor, you'll make that $6 million back in no time and have an easy way to continue to generate millions and millions of dollars quickly and easily going forward. Let's not waste any more time and get right into it. Now, before we create our character and go through the career builder, there are a few things I want to go over. Believe it or not, this is the fourth time I've attempted to make this video since 2020. Why did it keep falling apart, and why is this time different? Unlike my Red Dead Online beginner guide and role guide videos, which went smoothly and were a ton of fun, my attempts at a GTA Online beginner guide always ended up feeling like torture. To be completely honest with you, I kinda found GTA Online to be a borderline unplayable disaster for most of its existence. Trying to get anywhere as a solo player especially was a miserable experience. Much of the game was locked off when playing solo, which means you had to perform an exploit to play in a public solo lobby. Even worse, you could play in a regular public lobby, but that almost certainly meant dealing with griefers blowing you up with an Oppressor Mark II. The big shift happened when the Cayo Perico Heist was released in 2020. It was a heist that paid over $1 million, and it could be done completely solo. But even with this great method of making a bunch of money solo, the rest of the game was just too miserable and grindy. You had to save up for a $2 million sub to attempt the Cayo Perico heist, and no matter how much I tried, that process of going from a beginner to multi-millionaire was just too much for me. It was one of the worst grinds I've ever experienced in a game. I just couldn't bring myself to put on a happy face and produce a long YouTube video that would essentially come down to me telling players to grind hundreds of special cargo missions. That was the reality when it came to making lots of money quickly in GTA Online for years. But here in 2024, I can say that I finally feel that the game is at a place where you can do a nice, fun loop in GTA Online that isn't insanely repetitive and boring, completely solo, and make a ton of cash in the process. For those of you that have dipped their toes into GTA Online in the past and then dropped it for whatever reason, I gotta tell ya, since 2020, a lot has changed in GTA Online. Almost all for the better. Much more content was made available to solo players, to the point where you honestly don't need to play in a public lobby at all if you want to make millions of dollars quickly, and you certainly don't need to perform any exploits. 2021 brought us an awesome new update with The Contract, featuring Franklin from GTA 5 and Dr. Dre. These are some legit great missions that would feel right at home in the single player mode of GTA 5. There's a level of polish here that simply hasn't existed for the vast majority of content in GTA Online. In 2022, with the Los Santos Drug Wars update, we got access to the Acid Lab, the First and Last Dose missions, and Fooligan missions, all of which pay out far more than pretty much any other activities in GTA Online. High-paying daily collectibles like the Shipwrecks and G's Caches were added to the map. Even here in 2024, the Daily Animal Photography Challenge was added to the game, dramatically increasing how much players can make in a day. In short, the GTA Online experience here in 2024 is radically different compared to 2020, let alone the years before that. It's much improved and, dare I say, actually fun. But perhaps the very biggest change came in March 2022, when the expanded and enhanced version of GTA 5 and GTA Online was released on PS5 and Xbox Series S and X. The new version gave players a much needed visual upgrade for the game, originally released on the 360 and PS3 in 2013. The ray tracing looks nice, and 60 FPS on consoles is much appreciated. But it also delivered some dramatic changes to GTA Online as well, changes that absolutely improve the overall experience. Bafflingly enough, 2 years after that release, these changes still haven't come to the PC version of the game. The PS4 and Xbox One versions of the game also remain unchanged. This video is aimed at players of this new, current-gen version of the game, but that's not to say you can't follow this video if you're playing on PC, PS4, or Xbox One. I will say the very beginning portion of the game might be a bit rocky without the new career builder that was introduced with the PS5 version of the game. Eventually though, you can still follow most of this video, even if you're playing on the quote-unquote last-gen version of the game, and I'll make notes where appropriate to clarify what works and what doesn't work on that version. Okay, last thing before we get started. If you're a new player just picking up GTA Online for the first time, I highly recommend playing GTA 5 all the way through to the credits if you somehow haven't already. Not only is the game a masterpiece that holds up remarkably well over 10 years after its release, but it's basically a tutorial for GTA Online. You'll get a hang of the game's controls, how vehicles work, how the weapons work, and you'll get at least a rough understanding of the map and how to make your way around. Only thing I'd advise is try not to rely on the character's special abilities too much. As a GTA 5 speedrunner, I used Franklin's slowdown ability a lot when zipping around the streets of Los Santos at top speed. Unfortunately, that ability, in addition to Michael and Trevor's powerful combat abilities, don't exist in GTA Online. You'll have to drive and shoot the old-fashioned way, so that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, with all that housekeeping out of the way, it's time to officially get into the GTA Online 2024 Beginner Guide. When starting a new character in GTA Online on the current-gen version of the game, the first thing you see is the Career Builder. If you've already gone through this Career Builder once before, you won't be able to do it again, even if you create a second character. It's really dumb. You have to make a new account on your PlayStation or Xbox to get it to appear again. If you're still early on in GTA Online and struggling to make money, I'd recommend making a new character and following the career builder as I do here in this video, because getting started the right way and spending the $4 million the game gives you properly is really crucial. Otherwise, you can still reach the same endpoint as we will in this video, it's just gonna take a bit longer to get all the cash you need. So here on the Career Builder, this is how we are going to spend our $4 million. Select Nightclub Owner, and we are going to buy the Elysian Island Nightclub for $1,080,000. It's a bit out of the way, but it's honestly not that bad. The cash we save buying the cheapest nightclub will pay off, I promise. Choose the Omega interior, and for our starter vehicle, we are going to go with the Benefactor Terrorbyte. This is less a vehicle and more a property. It unlocks the ability to play some missions, and most important of all, the discounted price for the Oppressor Mark II, which is the ultimate goal of this video. For the weapons, select the Special Carbine. I was able to complete all the missions in this video exclusively using just the Special Carbine. It's true, no expensive weapons or upgrades are needed at all. This assault rifle is the only weapon you'll need today to make millions of dollars. And that's it for the Career Builder. After this, we'll have about $967,000 left over to spend on other stuff, which is very nice. Now it's time to create your character as you see fit. You'll also have the option to assign points to each of your stats, but honestly, these stats aren't super important. Over the course of play, you'll increase these stats naturally. But just getting started here, I decreased my flying and driving to increase my strength, shooting, and stamina. Again, all of these stats will be easily maxed out over time, and it's not like there's ever a case where having stats too low is going to prevent you from finishing a mission. I was able to reach our goal for today's video without thinking about stats at all, so honestly, I wouldn't stress about it. That's actually an important thing to make clear with today's video. I'm going to outline the most important things to focus on in GTA Online as a beginner, and the best way to do that is not focusing on a lot of the noise. GTA Online throws so many things at you: stats, weapons, menus, mission types, icons on the map, text messages, it just goes on and on. For any beginner, it's important to not get overwhelmed. So I'm going to show you what to focus on as a beginner. Everything else, you could ignore it when just getting started. Let's take RP for instance. Surprisingly useless for beginners. There is nothing super important locked away behind the higher ranks, so simply play at your own pace and level up accordingly, and I wouldn't worry about making tons of RP at this beginning portion of the game. Once you have a solid understanding of the game and know how to make some quick cash, only then would I recommend kinda just exploring the map aimlessly and trying stuff. That's fun, but it's not so fun when you don't have any money in your pocket. By the end of the video, you'll be a master of the maybe 6 or 7 things that are most crucial to your success, and you'll quickly realize just how much filler there is that can safely be ignored. Character stats are a perfect example of this filler. After creating your character, you'll spawn in Los Santos, and it's time to get started. But first, I'd recommend tweaking a couple of settings in the menu. I change vehicle camera height to high, as it gives you a better view of the game's world instead of the screen being obstructed by your vehicle. Next up for graphics mode, I play on Performance RT. 60 frames per second is so key for this game, especially when you need that little extra precision when popping headshots. Also, unless you want your thumb to go numb, I switch sprint mode to hold to sprint. Trust me, turn on hold to sprint unless you love doing this. Finally, turn in-game depth of field effects off. When we go around and snap photos of animals, it's nearly impossible to get a good shot of them with depth of field on. Of course, you could tweak settings to your own personal liking, but these are just my preferred settings. From here, complete the super simple tutorial for GTA Online. And yes, this Maibatsu Penumbra car that you get is the only vehicle you need until you complete the last dose missions. It is a completely functional, solid car that will do everything you need. We will not be spending a bunch of our cash on an unnecessary, faster vehicle. Again, that will come for free after finishing the last dose missions. Next, you'll be guided toward your nightclub, where you'll have to complete some very simple tasks to get your nightclub up and running. One of them is bringing up your interaction menu. This is something you pretty much never have to do in the single player, but it's a key aspect of GTA Online. You will be pulling this menu up constantly. The interaction menu lets you become the VIP of your own organization, which lets you access and manage your various businesses. You'll have to do this every time you boot up the game. The interaction menu also lets you summon your vehicle, eat snacks, equip armor, manage special vehicles like your Terabyte, and much more as you get deeper into the mode. It's important to get a hang of how this interaction menu works if you want to succeed in GTA Online, so pull it up and mess around. It's kind of mind-blowing just how much you could do from this menu. Also, while you're doing these nightclub missions, at some point you get placed into a public lobby. Simply enter your menu, find new session, and enter an invite-only session. You'll never have to enter a public session again for anything we are doing today in this video. Once you finish the nightclub setup missions, you'll see your popularity bar at the nightclub is full. When the popularity bar is full, the highest amount of money possible will gather in your wall safe every 48 minutes. If 5 bars of popularity are full, you'll receive $50,000 in the safe every 48 minutes, with the safe maxing out at a very nice $250,000. One of the big keys today is to ensure your nightclub popularity is always maxed out. To do this, you could kick out a troublemaker in the club, indicated by a blue icon on the minimap, hire a different resident DJ, which involves a small upfront fee, or going to your nightclub management computer and completing a promote club mission. Either way, I'll be reminding you constantly throughout this video to keep your nightclub popularity maxed out, as it is absolutely vital that you are collecting that $250,000 from your safe as often as possible. Having all your businesses running efficiently and maxing out your payout in the least amount of time is basically the entire gameplay loop of GTA Online simplified to its bare essentials. For now, everything else about your nightclub can be ignored. As a beginner, all you need to worry about is having your popularity maxed out and simply waiting for that wall safe to collect that sweet, sweet passive income. With your nightclub running efficiently, we need to find something to do while that safe fills up, right? Do the math. It's $50,000 every 48 minutes for a max of $250,000, which means it's going to take about 4 hours of real time to fill it to the max. We need to find something to do during that time, and the best option right at the beginning is to complete the 6 first dose missions. We could trigger them by heading to this big golden R in the northern part of the map. Here we'll meet Dax, and he's the one that gives out the first dose missions going forward. Now, these are real missions that involve everything you'd expect from a GTA mission. Shooting, driving, all that fun stuff. Difficulty-wise, it's about on par with a late-game story mission from GTA 5. So before you jump in, we need to do a little bit of prep. This prep is the same now as it is for the entire time you play GTA Online. Yes, after playing this game for years, this prep is still something you always need to be aware of before you jump into a mission. Though by the end of this video, it'll get much easier. It all comes down to this. Go to an ammunition and max out your ammo for your handgun and special carbine. You run through ammo very quickly with so few weapons, so before doing any of these first dose missions, make sure your ammo is completely maxed out. The cost of ammo is negligible in the long run, so don't think too hard about it if you're wasting money or not. Just buy the damn ammo. While you're there, buy 10 super heavy armors as well. It's essential to always have max armor on you when jumping into a tough mission. Also, while not necessary, I'd recommend buying a micro SMG. It's super cheap, and you'll need a decent weapon for drive-bys. The special carbine can't be used for drive-bys, and while you can use your handgun, I prefer the micro SMG. Max out the ammo for that one as well. As you continue to play and rank up, you'll increase the amount of ammo that you can carry. At first, it's in the low hundreds, but eventually that number will hit the thousands, and visits to the ammunition will become less frequent. But for now, fill up before every first dose mission you attempt. Next, head to a convenience store and buy the max amount of every single snack on this list. With ammo, armor, and snacks all maxed out, you're ready for the first dose missions. These first dose missions can be somewhat difficult at the start when you're at your absolute weakest. Eventually, as you memorize things and get better at the game, it gets less hard, but at first it could be overwhelming. The enemies definitely deal more damage here in GTA Online than they do in GTA 5's single player, so make sure you take cover all the time. By bringing up your weapon wheel, you can replenish your health constantly by eating snacks and using armor. This is basically the GTA Online meta and completely different from the combat in single player, so you'll have to get used to that. Also, keep in mind that to eat a snack while you're driving a vehicle, you have to bring up the interaction menu since you can't access the weapon wheel at that time. I can promise you this, you will become an absolute master of driving while also scrolling through your interaction menu and eating snacks while enemies are shooting at you. I can't tell you how many times I get tired of shooting the enemies that respawn infinitely and just drive in a straight line towards the goal while taking shots and eating snacks. This is the game we play. Your gunshots are nothing to me. I have snacks. While you are only given 2 lives for each of these first dose missions, it's not the end of the world if you die twice. You can simply quick restart and try again with no real penalty other than the time being lost replaying part of the mission. So don't stress if you get overwhelmed by the waves of enemies shooting at you relentlessly. Like I said, this is the hardest it's ever going to be right at the beginning. Eventually you'll get better at shooting, better weapons, better vehicles, and all this will become trivial. But here at the beginning, simply put, it's a true test of skill. It's just you and that special carbine versus waves and waves of enemies, and honestly, it's a great way to learn the fundamentals of this game. After finishing the first dose mission, you'll get $20,000 as a reward, plus a bonus payout of $50,000, which is a pretty awesome total haul. You'll also gain access to the Freak Shop, and speaking to Dax inside allows you to play a Fooligan mission. These missions are amazing. They're relatively short and easy. You could die as many times as you want with no penalty, and best of all, they pay out $50,000, which is huge. The only drawback is they have a 48-minute cooldown timer after you complete one. So now at this point, we have 2 things on our constant to-do list. Number 1, ensure your nightclub has full popularity. Number 2, finish a Fooligan mission. If those are done, that means we have to wait for the wall safe to fill and for the Fooligan mission cooldown timer to end. So what do we do in the meantime? The answer is more first dose missions. This is going to be our basic loop for a little while here. Make sure your essentials are all full and head to the D on the map to do first dose 2. Finishing this mission will give you $18,000 and a bonus of $50,000. Now make sure your nightclub popularity is maxed and see if you could do another Fooligan mission. I hope I'm doing a good job drilling this gameplay loop into your head. Once those are done, do first dose 3. At this point, you should have a pretty decent amount of cash, so head to the weapon workshop at the Freak Shop and buy the extended clip for your special carbine, as well as a grip. These are cheap, and they'll make your life a lot easier. From here, simply rinse and repeat until you finish all 6 of the first dose missions. You should have completed a handful of the Fooligan missions by now, and your nightclub safe will probably fill up at least once or twice as you do all of this. Be sure to keep an eye out for the notifications on your screen, and collect the $250K from that safe when it fills up, then carry on with Fooligan missions or first dose missions. Playing over the course of 2 days, I managed to finish all 6 first dose missions, 3 Fooligan missions, and my nightclub safe filled up once. I'll just spell that out for you. That's a lot of money. The real key is those first dose missions. You get massive bonus payouts for completing these missions. The grand total comes out to $614,000 for finishing all 6, which is insane. Again, I won't harp on this, but these kinds of payouts did not exist for the first chunk of GTA Online's existence. The LS Drug Wars update was a true game changer, and the game is much better for it. After finishing the 6 first dose missions, we can now buy an acid lab. Head over to one of the acid lab equipment setup icons on the map, and once completed, purchase the acid lab at the Freak Shop for $750,000. It may seem like a lot now, but trust me, the acid lab is going to make that money back so fast, it's not even funny. Head inside and buy the acid supplies for $60,000. It takes a few minutes for the supplies to arrive, at which point your supplies bar will be filled. Make sure you interact with the little fast forward button in the acid lab to speed up the cooking process. This little speed up has to be done each day you play the game, so make sure you don't forget. Okay, math time. It takes 90 minutes for the supplies bar to drain. One full supplies bar equals 1/3 of the product bar. That means you have to fill the supplies bar 3 times to fill the product bar once. 3 full orders of supplies costs $60,000 3 times, which is $180,000, and the full cooking process will take about 4.5 hours of real time. Sound familiar? That's about as long as it takes to fill up your safe at the nightclub. At this point in GTA Online, the major focus is to ensure your nightclub safe is generating the max amount of income from full popularity, and your acid lab is cooking that acid at the same time. When your product bar is full and you're ready to do a full acid delivery, your reward is a huge $237,600. With these big payouts becoming the norm, it was around this time that I also purchased a drum magazine for my special carbine, just to make combat easier. Let's refer back to our to-do list and make sure we have everything in order. Step 1, make sure your nightclub popularity is maxed. Step 2, do a Fooligan mission. Step 3, make sure you've ordered supplies for your acid business and that lab is cooking. Now we have 3 timers ticking down in the background. And in this game, the more timers you have ticking down in the background, the more money for you. Wrapping your head around all these timers is really the key to the entire game. And if this seems overwhelming at first, again, in time it'll all become second nature. It won't be long before you're booting up the game and checking on all this stuff without even thinking about it, and then making sure your ammo, snacks, and armor are always full before a mission. Once you have everything in order, it's time to start digging into the 5 last dose missions that Dax hands out. They're similar to the first dose missions in that they pay out a crap ton of cash, so let's get going on them. Also, keep in mind we're trying to complete 10 Fooligan missions because that unlocks an upgrade to your acid lab that cooks the acid faster and increases the value of your delivery from $237,600 to $335,200. At this point, you should be getting a hang of the game and the overall mission structure of these Dax missions. Each of the last dose missions pays out a whopping $100,000 bonus on top of the standard amount of cash you make for finishing the mission. Here's what the payouts look like for all 11 of the main Dax missions. That is a lot of cash. At this point in the process, it's really these 4 things we are focusing on. I mentioned that I finished 3 Fooligan missions before buying the acid lab. Well, I finished the next 7 Fooligan missions over the course of 2 days of play. During the cooldown periods, I finished the 5 last dose missions. Of course, all this while the nightclub safe and acid lab were filling up in the background. The end result? $350,000 from Fooligan missions, $586,000 from the last dose missions, 1 full acid delivery at $237,000, and 1 full nightclub safe for $250K. Subtracting the $180K cost of acid supplies, that is a profit of $1,243,600 for 2 days of play. Not too shabby at all. Also, remember earlier how I said you'd get a new vehicle soon enough? Well, after finishing Last Dose Mission 5, you get this awesome Virtue hypercar for free. This thing usually costs over $2 million to buy. It's much faster than the car you've been using up until now, and this thing will be your new go-to vehicle until you purchase an Oppressor Mark II. With the 10 Fooligan missions done, purchase the $250,000 equipment upgrade for your acid lab. Now, cooking a full acid delivery will take 3 hours instead of 4.5, and will have a value of $335,200 instead of $237,600. Absolutely wonderful. So now our goal is to reach $2.2 million in order to afford the Kosatka Submarine and unlock the Cayo Perico Heist. You should be pretty close to that number by now, but if not, the loop remains the same. Nightclub safe, acid sales, and Fooligan missions. But you know what? Things are getting a little repetitive. I don't like this. As soon as GTA Online starts to feel like a grind, that's when I start to lose interest. So at this point, we're going to inject some variety into our GTA Online gameplay loop. Now that those first dose and last dose missions are all done, we need something to do while waiting for those timers to tick down. So I'm going to show you the regular daily activities I complete when playing GTA Online. Once again, this is all easy, quick, can be done solo, and pays out very well given the time investment. First things first, we need to do 5 client jobs to unlock the discounted price of the Oppressor Mark II. We don't want to pay $8 million for that thing, we want to pay $6 million. And to do that, enter your terabyte, go up to the computer, and do the first client job, Robbery in Process. This mission is super quick and easy and pays out between $30,000 and $35,000, which is really great given how easy it is. After finishing it, return to your terabyte. You guessed it, there's a cooldown timer. 2 of them, in fact. There's a 5-minute timer to play another client job, and a 30-minute timer before you could play the one you just finished again. So wait for the 5-minute timer to end and do client job 2, data sweep. Again, this one is easy and it pays out between $30K and $35K. The other client jobs, unfortunately, require you to buy a bunch of expensive crap, and we aren't there quite yet. So wait until the timers end and do these client jobs 3 more times to unlock the discounted Oppressor price. You only need to do these jobs 5 times, but honestly, they're a consistently quick and easy way to make $30K, which is not too shabby at all. In addition to the nightclub safe, acid deliveries, fooligan missions, and client jobs, I have 3 well-paying activities that I'd recommend you try out. I actually try to do these 3 every time I boot up the game. Each can be completed once per day. That's not an in-game day, which is 48 real-life minutes, but a real-life day. The day ends officially at 2 a.m. Eastern Time, so if you complete these activities before 2 a.m., you won't be able to do them again until all daily activities reset at 2 a.m. This changes to 1 a.m. when daylight savings time ends. The first daily activity is daily animal photos. You should receive an email with a list of 3 animals you need to take pictures of using your phone. If you don't receive the email, go to the purple icon here at the northwest edge of the map to read the sign and see what animals are on the list for today. Now, when snapping these photos, you need to be pretty precise. Use stealth and be careful not to scare the target away. When you have your shot, be quick because these things will run away. The animal needs to be facing you in the middle of the frame, and you need to be close, like shockingly close. I'm amazed sometimes by what photos are not deemed acceptable. When you finally get a good enough shot, you'll have an option to send it to the LS tourist board and you'll receive your payment. It's $20,000 for the first animal, $20,000 for the second, and $60,000 for the third. That's $100,000 total just for taking some pictures of some animals. This is an unbelievable payout that I figure will be nerfed in the near future because that's just how Rockstar is. So take advantage of it now and snap those pictures. The second daily activity is G's Daily Cache. You'll see this icon on your map showing the area that G's cache has spawned. There are a total of 15 possible spawn areas on the map, but then within each area, there are 5 possible locations where the box you're looking for will appear. Obviously, these hiding spots are very easy to miss, but if you have a good eye, you'll find the cache. It pays out between $15,000 and $22,250, as well as some ammo, snacks, and RP. For simplicity, I'm going to take the median of that range and say the average daily cache will net you about $18,625, which is really good for simply collecting a collectible. The third and final daily activity I complete is finding a shipwreck. It's basically a tiny little chest and they spawn somewhere near the water. When you find it, you'll get an awesome $25,000 payout, which is even better than G's daily cache. Now you're probably thinking, Tony, how the hell am I supposed to find a cougar on this giant map? Or a little box that is basically camouflage and impossible to see? Well, enter your new best friend, the GTA Web Map. This incredible resource shows the exact locations of damn near every single thing you could possibly imagine here in Los Santos. It's actually insane just how much crap has been added to this map over the last 10 plus years. Look at this. It keeps going. It just keeps going. Anyways, using this map, you can easily pull up the spawn locations for any of the 3 animals you have to snap pictures of, and the spot where you could find the shipwreck. For G's Daily Cache, it'll actually appear on your map in-game, so you don't need GTA Web at all for that one. Instead, if you absolutely can't find the hiding spot, I like using this GTA Wiki page, which has some really helpful screenshots of every possible spawn point within the little radius on the map. You'll have to check all of them, as it is totally random which spawn you'll get in your game. Please check the video description for links to these awesome, super helpful resources. Luckily, after doing this for a few days, you start to get the hang of this thing, and completing these daily tasks becomes easier and easier. At this point, I've even memorized most animal spawn locations, and my eyes are much better at finding G's little box of goodies now compared to when I was first getting started. Now, the above should be more than enough to get you to reach our current goal of $2.2 million to afford the Kosatka sub, but we ain't done yet. I didn't work on this video on and off for 4 years to be a coward at the last second. So if that's not enough, I have a few more suggestions for some quick cash that I'd describe as optional. If they look cool to you, check them out. If not, it's no big deal. Just do this over and over until you have the cash you need. First of all, it's absolutely crucial to keep your eye on the Rockstar newswire. Every week, certain activities in the game will have a bonus payout, and certain things you have to buy will have a discount applied. Now, most weeks, these bonuses are pretty useless. Like, for instance, when I was working on this video, there was a 5x payout bonus for taxi work missions. Sounds great, right? 5x. Wow. Well, here's the problem. The original payouts for cab missions are like $2,000. So that multiplier changes the payout on those missions from complete dog shit to just shit. Either way, it's useless, so ignore it. But every once in a while, Rockstar blesses us peasants with an absolute banger of a bonus payout. Indeed, as I was producing this video, an absolute banger bonus was active. 2x payout for Acid Lab cell missions and Fooligan jobs. Now, none of the figures in this video are taking any bonuses into effect. But if there's ever a bonus week for Acid, go out of your way to do as many full Acid deliveries as you possibly can. On my main account, I made something like $10 million in a week just from doing Acid deliveries with a 2x bonus. But like I said, the bonus payouts aren't always great, so that's why I have it in the optional section of this video. If there's a really good one active and you have access to whatever job you're asked to complete, great, definitely make it a part of your daily routine. But most of the time there's really nothing going on, and you can safely ignore the bonuses and just focus on the items we already went over in this video. Next up are the 10 flight school missions. Now, your exact payout will depend on whether you get bronze, silver, or gold medals, but here were my results. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm no flight master. I'm barely flying a jet around in this game, so it's not like I just crushed this with all gold medals. I did all 10 in under an hour, rather poorly, while blasting the Top Gun soundtrack, and I ended up with over $100,000. That's a damn good payout, and I personally find flying pretty fun. If you want a total change of pace from the usual shooting and driving and grand thefting of autos, check out the flight school. Next up are the daily challenges and weekly challenges, which you could pull up on your interaction menu. This is in the optional section because sometimes daily challenges are quick and easy, other times they're lame and dumb and take way too long. Daily challenges are randomized for everyone, so it's going to depend on luck whether you get good ones or bad ones. Usually I ignore them, to be honest. The payout for doing all 3 is a mere $30,000, which is pretty mid. You could do a client job, which is faster, easier, and consistent, and make the same amount of cash. But I'm gonna mention them because sometimes they are so easy, like this one where you sit in a hot tub. If you're lucky, it's an easy 30K, but I wouldn't stress too much. Weekly challenges, on the other hand, they take much longer than a daily challenge, but they pay out $100,000. Again, sometimes it's an easy weekly challenge and an easy 100K, other times it's long and boring and screw it. That's why this is optional. Finally, we have 2 hidden weapons you could find on the map: the Stone Hatchet and the Navy Revolver, which is a Red Dead Redemption 2 tie-in weapon, so you know I got hype finding that one. Finding the Navy revolver involves following clues that lead you to the Los Santos slasher, and the stone hatchet involves speaking to Maud and completing 5 bounties. Exact locations for these can also be found on the GTA web map, and to keep this video under like 3 hours, I'm not going to be doing a detailed guide here. They're easy enough to find, and you'll get a solid $75,000 payout for finding the Navy revolver, and $50,000 for completing the 5 bounties required to get the stone hatchet. But here's the catch. These weapons will apparently pay out a massive bonus if you tie your GTA Online account to a Rockstar Social Club account and complete some simple challenges using the weapons. These are some huge bonuses, but sadly I couldn't confirm it myself because my Rockstar Social Club account is already tied to my main GTA Online account, and I wasn't going to make a new one. Far too lazy for that. I also know for a fact that there are people out there who simply don't have access to a Rockstar account and can't create one to tie to their GTA Online account. So rest assured, a Rockstar account is not necessary to make tons and tons of cash, as I'm going through in this video. That's why this is in the optional section. But if you do get that Rockstar account, finding these weapons will net you a pretty sweet bonus, so it's something to keep in mind. So that's a pretty jam-packed list of stuff to do as a beginner, right? Well, before we move on to the Cayo Perico heist, we need to talk about the deepest, darkest secret in all of GTA Online. I'm talking about some absolutely illegal strats here. Of course, I'm referring to the dreaded rubber banding. Look, I personally don't think this is necessary at all since there's so much stuff to do at any given time, but we are playing solo here. As long as you aren't ruining someone else's game in a public server with this, I don't think it's hurting anybody. If you're absolutely desperate to get as much money as possible as quickly as possible, and your little brother doesn't want to play the PS5, you could resort to rubber banding. Basically, go into your mom's bedroom and steal one of her ponytail holders. Then wrap it around your analog sticks like this. Or like this. PC players, you gotta figure it out. Maybe just plug in an Xbox controller or something. By wrapping up the analog sticks like this, your character will constantly walk around in a circle, and you won't be booted from the game for being idle. Why would the game boot you if you're idle in a solo server? Good question. Nonetheless, that's what happens. So basically, this is an option to keep your nightclub safe filling up, or your acid supplies bar filling up, even if you can't play the game. It's a good thing to do before going to school or work, and then when you get home, your nightclub safe should be full, and your acid bar should be filled up a solid amount as well. That said, it's not free either. If you leave the game rubber banding for hours, your nightclub popularity will drop, and you'll have to do some work to get it back up. You need to order supplies 3 times to get a full acid delivery ready, so rubber banding won't completely help you there either. So honestly, when you think about it, the game is kinda balanced in a way where rubber banding is a nice little strat, but you're gonna get punished for it a bit as well. So I say, don't feel bad. I personally left the game rubber banding when making this video when I was in the middle of a play session and had to go to the gym. That's about 90 minutes that I'm out. By the time I got back, my acid bar and nightclub safe wasn't full, but they were both filled up pretty decently. And when you're a beginner and desperate for any extra cash wherever you can get it, rubber banding when you're away from your console is a legitimate option. Or you could just be normal and play the game, then turn it off when you're done. I'm not normal. Okay, I think that's enough. No matter how you get here, at this point, you should have the $2.2 million needed to purchase a Kosatka sub and begin prepping for the Cayo Perico heist. Heists are basically the main event of GTA Online and work pretty similar to how they did in the single player of GTA 5. You play through a series of heist setup missions, all leading to the big heist finale. Heists are all replayable and a great way to generate a huge payout relatively quickly. The Cayo Perico heist stands out in particular as it is easily completed solo. The setups and finale can be completed quickly, and best of all, it doesn't even take place in Los Santos. You're transported to a completely new location, the island of Cayo Perico. This is basically my ideal vision of new content for a GTA game. It's clear that Rockstar went all out when creating this heist, designing an entirely new location exclusively for GTA Online. In my opinion, it's the most well-made piece of new content that was ever added to GTA Online, and it's a lot of fun. While you do already have a solid way of making money through the Nightclub and Acid Lab, doing the Cayo Perico heist solo provides the best payout of all in the shortest amount of time. And it is easily completable by a beginner. You don't need any special vehicles or weapons to get through this heist. The first time you play through the heist, the primary target is always the same, the Madrazo files, which is worth $1.1 million. That is an incredible payout. On repeats, the payout is slightly less incredible, but still very good nonetheless. The primary target on repeat playthroughs of the heist is randomized. It could either be the tequila, worth $630,000, ruby necklace, worth $700,000, bearer bonds, worth $770,000, or the pink diamond, worth $1.3 million. As you'd probably expect, the game is going to be giving you the tequila a lot more than that pink diamond. Also, the prices I just mentioned are a bit misleading. When playing solo, you have to pay a 12% split, and attempting the heist again on repeats requires a $100,000 payment. So for the purposes of this video, I have no interest in bullshitting you with these numbers. As we continue to save up for an Oppressor Mark II, we are going to assume the absolute worst case scenario for the solo Cayo Perico heist. We're going to assume tequila is the primary target. Minus the split and the $100,000 buy-in fee, your ultimate profit, at the absolute bare minimum, assuming you collect no secondary targets, is about $454,000. It may seem low, but as you get better and better at the heist setups and the heist itself, you'll quickly realize that's a pretty good payout given the time investment. All the while, your nightclub safe is filling up and your acid lab is cooking, so always keep that in mind. Now, I plan to upload a more detailed guide to how I play through the Cayo Perico heist solo and show you exactly how easy it is in real time. But for now, I'm just gonna go over the basics and provide a quick overview of the preps you need to complete and the heist itself. We are trying to keep this video under 10 hours. This is just my own personal strategy that I've found success with. Please feel free to make tweaks as you see fit, and if you want to, collect some of those secondary targets to boost your total payout. But for me personally, treating the Cayo Perico heist as something that is repeated time and time again, I like to pretty much speedrun this thing. I cruise through the heist preps, then only collect the primary target from the heist finale, and get the hell out of there ASAP. Again, feel free to do this heist at your own pace. The punishment for dying isn't nearly as bad as it was a few years ago, where you'd actually run out of snacks and armor if you die too many times. No matter how many times you die, you aren't punished that hard. You get your snacks and armor back, the checkpoints are reasonable, and you should be able to brute force your way through this thing, no matter what your skill level is, if you follow my strategy. First things first, meet with Madrazo at the music locker to unlock the ability to buy the sub and begin the heist. Open the Warstock website on your phone to buy it for $2.2 million. No upgrades are required here, just the bare minimum. Head over to wherever your sub is in the water and swim over to it. After a cutscene plays, you can access the heist planning screen to begin the heist setup. But first, let's talk about some of the bonuses provided by the sub entirely for free. First of all, there's a black scuba suit you could grab, which makes underwater swimming a lot easier, and we'll need that for later. Most important of all, free snacks. Indeed, just head downstairs and you can go here to max out your snacks for free at any time. This is beautiful. Another important thing we should go over at this point is your ability to quasi-fast travel through the menu. Swimming over to the sub like this is a total pain in the ass, but luckily it is skippable. Simply enter the menu, change your spawn point to the Kosatka, and go to Find New Server. Once upon a time, the load times in GTA Online were so painfully long that I wouldn't dare enter them if I could help it. But now, with the power of the PS5 and Xbox Series X SSD, load times are not so bad, and this quasi-fast travel works really well. You can warp to your nightclub or the freak shop as well, so use this Find New Server trick wisely. It'll save you a lot of time. On to the Cayo Perico heist. First up, we have to fly to Cayo Perico. Simply get into the driver's seat for the sub and drive it all the way to the map until you're on the beach like this. Head up the ladder to exit, then jump down. When you reach a road, call for your car. As you can imagine, this process becomes easier when we get our hands on that sweet flying motorcycle. But even when you only have access to a traditional car, it's not that bad. This is just old school Grand Theft Auto. Once you get to the island, simply follow the mission as you're directed, avoiding all the security cameras and guards. There's only one special thing we need to go out of our way to do. Head to this point on the map and dive into the water to find the drainage tunnel entry point. This is key, and it's the way we're going to complete this heist every single time. We can now head back to Los Santos to continue with the heist preps. This is a perfect chance to use the find new server trick to warp right back into the control room of your sub. No annoying travel needed. Next up is the finger point cloner prep, which is fairly straightforward. Simply drive your sub to the beach again, get in your car, and go to the objective. After that is the safe code prep, which is also straightforward. Cutting torch is next, which involves you going to a construction site and finding a cutting torch in a toolbox. Next up, we need some weapons, and we're going to do the conspirator weapons, but here's the thing. If you're told to go to Merryweather HQ, just do find new server, respawn in your sub, and try the prep again. The Merryweather HQ version of this heist prep is brutal and long and difficult and annoying, and I hate it. Keep doing find new server until you're told to go to 707 Vespucci. This is a simple office that you need to get into, and it's much easier. Kill the guys, take the weapons, and this prep is done. Next is the Kosatka approach vehicle prep, and this one can be a pain. You need to drive your sub to the yellow dot on the map. While it isn't necessary, this is the only place where I'd say using the sub's fast travel ability would be warranted. It's $10,000, but it's kinda worth it unless you have the patience to just drive the sub for a while. When you get close to the yellow dot, submerge your ship, and then when you're touching the other sub, hold right on the D-pad to toggle autopilot. This is absolutely key because you will get your ass absolutely wrecked by a helicopter if you leave your sub above water. Grab your scuba suit and exit the sub. You'll be underwater now, so simply swim to the yellow cone of the enemy sub to enter it. Now you have to do a lot of close quarters shooting. To be completely honest here, the controls really suck when you're in close quarters like this. I have my gun aimed all the time and navigate the sub like this, so I could shoot as soon as an enemy appears and not have to fight the controls. These guys will kill you really quickly, and if you die, you respawn on a sea-doo nearby where you have to drive over and dive into the sub again. Not the biggest deal, but definitely annoying. The location of the sonar jammer in this sub is random every time, so you pretty much have to explore the entire sub every time you play this heist prep unless you get lucky. When you find it, simply leave the same way you came, and you should be able to easily swim over to your submerged sub that is sitting nearby to complete this mission. With that, the heist prep is complete, and it's time to complete the finale. Your approach vehicle is the Kosatka, infiltration point is drainage tunnel, compound entry point is drainage tunnel, escape point doesn't matter, and for time of day I choose day so I can see what the hell is going on. Your weapon loadout is the conspirator, and we have no support crew. From there, swim over to the drainage tunnel, cut your way in, and you'll spawn above ground at this spot. From here, there's a path you could take to the main building where you only need to kill 3 people. Kill this guy and grab the gate keys. Run around and kill this guy. Then run up the steps and kill this guy. Now you're in the office. Grab the keycard and grab the cash from this wall safe for a bit of a bonus. Now do the fingerprint minigame to access the elevator to the basement. I simply go from top to bottom with this, matching the pixels in one row with the pixels above, then moving to the next one. Eventually you'll get really fast at solving this minigame. Once downstairs, be careful as there might be people shooting at you. Take them out, then grab the primary target. Do the fingerprint thing again, and take out the guards in this area. From here, there's some specific movement where if you nail it, you should reach the exit without much resistance at all. First of all, make sure your health and ammo is maxed out. You should always go into heists with max snacks and armor. You might fail this at first, but that's fine. Sometimes the enemies spawn in unfortunate spots that you can't simply run through. But when you do nail it, it feels real good. We need to go into first person mode, which actually allows you to move slightly faster than you do in third person, especially when going upstairs. Open the gate, and then when you're about halfway up these stairs, turn left and jump. If done properly, you should climb up, and you should be right in front of the yellow cone that is the exit. Take out the enemy if he's standing there and run to the cone. A short cutscene will play, which means you're done with this section. Now simply kill the enemies that drive towards you and steal a bike. Then we simply drive. Drive until you drive off the cliff. Dive underwater and swim into the distance. Eventually, you'll escape Cayo Perico and clear the mission. And that's it. It's as simple as that if you want to finish Cayo Perico quickly and easily without going after any secondary targets. It's going to take a bit of practice to get the hang of it, but after a few attempts, you'll be cruising through this entire heist from preps to the finale. Best of all, your nightclub safe and acid lab is cooking in the background. After completing the Cayo Perico heist the first time, you should escape with a payout of about $1,164,214, plus a $200,000 bonus. That payout, plus a nightclub safe, full acid delivery, and the daily activities I outlined earlier, should just about make back that $2.2 million investment in the Kosatka sub. There is now a 144-minute cooldown timer, which is 3 in-game days, before you can play the Cayo Perico heist again. Of course, during this time, you could do all the stuff we've already gone over. With Cayo Perico under your belt, you now have access to all the major money-making activities here in GTA Online. The final goal for today's video is to save enough money to afford an Oppressor Mark II, which basically just makes everything we went over a lot faster and easier. Instead of driving to all those heist preps, you can fly over. Instead of driving to each animal spawn location to snap a photo, you can fly. It really makes transportation around Los Santos a whole lot easier. So let's go over the gameplay loop I followed when saving the money to buy an Oppressor. I created this 2-day loop specifically to avoid burnout. It took me 2 to 3 hours each day to complete, and if I had to stop playing for whatever reason, it's pretty easy to cut things out to your liking. If you only have an hour to play, let's say, consider cutting out Cayo Perico, or only do Cayo Perico and pass on the daily animal photographs. It's totally up to you, depending on how hard you want to go on a given day. So on day 1, I'll start with a solo Cayo Perico heist. While your payout will vary, let's assume you only get the primary target, and it's the lowest paying target, Tequila. Then I'll complete 1 Fooligan mission, find G's daily cash, find the shipwreck, and take the 3 daily animal photos. You should also have either a full nightclub safe or a full acid sale ready. For day 1, I'm going to assume we have a full nightclub safe and the acid is cooking but not quite ready. According to my math, that means approximately $893,000 in profit for day 1. Of course, to make this work, you're going to have to wait for the safe to fill up. But I realized after a few days of committing to this 2-day routine, I'd always have a full safe waiting on one day and a full acid sale ready for the next. For day 2, we repeat the exact same thing, except on this day, it'll be our nightclub safe cooking in the background and the acid sale is ready to go. A full acid sale will net us $155,200, which means an approximate daily take of $798 to $25. If you follow this daily cycle exactly, it should only take you 6 days to reach the $6 million needed to afford the Oppressor Mark II. It could take longer than that if you don't do this entire list every day, but it could take you even less if you're a real sicko and do Cayo Perico twice in one day, or multiple Fooligan missions. The possibilities here are endless. You can tinker with it any way you like, but for me personally, I followed this 2-day routine and it felt great. Lots of variety, it never felt like grinding, and I never felt like I had to play too much to get a solid daily payout. When you have the $6 million saved, buy the Oppressor Mark II from the Warstock Cash and Carry website on your phone. It should deliver to your terabyte. No upgrades necessary, as you won't be entering public servers and griefing people by shooting missiles at them. The included machine guns are more than enough if you ever need to shoot something while using the Oppressor. Now that you have access to this incredible vehicle and a super consistent and easy way to make a ton of cash, the game completely opens up. The question is, what should you do next? Obviously, there's no shortage of choices. Just look at all those big golden letters on the map. Check them out. There's so many properties you can now work towards buying that opens up all kinds of new content, like heists, missions, and tons of other various activities. I'd also recommend scrolling through that sidebar on the GTA web map. This game is packed with stuff to do, so now that you have some financial security, feel free to mess around with whatever looks the most interesting to you. Personally, here's a couple things I'd recommend. The Agency opens up the contract missions featuring Franklin and Dr. Dre. In my opinion, this is the best content in GTA Online outside of Cayo Perico. It feels like real GTA 5 DLC, and it's a lot of fun. Bunkers start from 1.165 million and unlock a daily ammunition contract mission. Simply drive from one point on the map to the other for a nice $50,000 payout. This is another activity I try to do every time I boot up the game, as it is super quick, easy, and pays well. Similarly, offices start from $1 million, and if you also own a warehouse, you'll unlock the ability to export mixed goods. This is another simple mission I try to do each day, and it also pays a cool $50,000. Auto shops begin at $1.67 million and also give players a great way to make some cash with the auto shop service. You'll receive a text when work is available. Simply modify the car as requested, then deliver it. You'll receive a payout from $20,000 to $30,000 depending on the car, and again, this is all super easy and takes no time at all. As of March 2024, this is my usual daily routine. I don't really do Cayo Perico daily anymore, as I do have enough cash saved up to buy pretty much anything I want. Of course, if I really need a big chunk of cash quickly, the option is always there. With all these ways to make easy cash quickly, it shouldn't be hard for you to put together your own daily routine that you're comfortable with. With those millions saved, you can now feel free to buy all the weapons, clothing, vehicles, properties, and whatever else you want here in GTA Online. And there you have it. It's 2024 and GTA Online is solved. If you follow this routine, I promise you'll be able to enjoy GTA Online to its fullest. Now, I'm not going to say this is a perfect guide with no flaws. I'm sure there's someone out there screaming at their screen about how I'm such an idiot for not mentioning this strat, or buying such and such property, or forgetting some mission that pays out a bunch of money. Look, this game is huge. There's over 10 years of content updates. If I made a fully exhaustive guide of the game, I think I'd be here for over 10 hours breaking it all down. This is what worked for me, and this is what continues to work for me. And remember, things are always changing. As I'm writing this, a new Cluck and Bell Farm Raid content update is about to release. If it pays well and isn't too difficult, that might be another thing to consider trying if you're a beginner. That's just the nature of these always evolving games. So while there may be some more optimizations that could be made, I promise, if you follow this video, you should have no problem making a ton of money here in GTA Online and simply getting a hang of the entire game's mechanics and overall structure in a way that isn't too intimidating for a beginner. That's going to wrap it up for today's video. Let me know in the comments below if you have a favorite strat or daily routine that you like to follow. What's something you like to do that generates money quickly? How do you kill time when you're waiting for the cooldown timers on Cayo Perico, the Nightclub safe, and the Acid Lab? Anyways, if you like this video and want to see more GTA Online and GTA 6 content, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. The hype is crazy right now, to say the least, and I have so much planned for this year as we head into the GTA 6 launch. So look forward to more videos soon, but until next time, thanks so much for watching everyone, and take care.